Hello, here we are going to see about the Unit 3 continuation. In this topic, we are going to see about the laser configuration, which is using the frequency selective reflector and its types. Then also we have to going to see about the photo detectors types, that is a pin photo detector and avalanche photo detectors. So first we are going to see about the laser configuration using the frequency selective reflector. So here there are three types of laser configuration using the built frequency selective reflectors are distributed feedback laser, distributed Bragg reflector laser, distributed reflector laser. So in each case the corrugated grating is using as the frequency selective reflector. So it is a passive waveguide adjacent to the active region. So the optical wave propagates parallel to the grating. So here the first order grating will provide the strongest coupling. So the coupling is at a maximum for wavelength close to the Bragg wavelength, that is lambda b. So lambda b is equal to 2 me fill by k. So that is this is the corrugation, that is period of corrugation symbol, and Ne is equal to efficient refractive index of mode, and k is the order of grating. So next the types. So first one is distributed feedback laser. So in this the grating for the wavelength selector is formed over an entire active region. So in an ideal distributed feedback laser, the longitudinal modes are spaced symmetrically around the lambda b at the wavelengths given by lambda is equal to lambda b plus or minus lambda b squared by 2 NeLe into m plus 1 by 2. So where m is the mode order, that is m is equal to 0, 1, 2 etc. and Le is the effective grating length. So the amplitude of these successively higher order lasing modes are greatly reduced from 0 order amplitude. So in DFB laser, both ends are anti-reflection coated, then two 0 order modes will located symmetrically on either side of the Bragg wavelength should experience the same lowest threshold gain. Next one is distributed Bragg reflector laser. So in DBR laser, the gratings are located at the end of the normal active layer of laser to replace the clean end mirrors used in the Fabry-Perot optical resonator. The next one is distributed reflector laser. So in this distributed reflector laser, it consists of both the active as well as passive distributed reflectors. So this structure will improve the lasing properties of conventional DFB and DBR lasers and has a high efficiency and a high output capability here. Optical detectors. So the detector is an essential component of optical fiber communication system, and it is one of the crucial elements which will decide the overall system performance. So this is the optical receiver diagram. So first we have to pass the photo light. So it will be sent into the photo detector. Then here it will given the output to the pre-amplifying circuit. After that, the gain control will control the signal level and it will filter the circuits, then passes the signal to the decision circuit. So it will get the data output at the output frequency level. So next one is photo detector. So the photo detector is basically a transducer that will convert the variation in optical power into the corresponding variation in electric current. So this process is known as optical to electrical conversion. So its function is simply to convert the received optical signal into electrical signal. So the characteristics of the general photo detectors are, first one is size compatibility. So it means the size of the detector must be compatible with the size of the fiber which is carrying the light. So that is the radius of the core. Next one is high conversion efficiency. So it means the photo detector must be able to produce the maximum electrical signal for the given amount of received optical signal. So the next one is high sensitivity of operating a wavelength. So it means the photodetectors based on suitable semiconductor materials are required in the various operating wavelength so as to provide the significant electrical output for a small input optical power at the room temperature. So next one is high response speed. So it means the detector will capable of converting the fast changing optical signals which carries millions of bits of information to the corresponding electrical signal. The next one is high minimum noise. So the photodetectors must have a extremely low noise, and the last one is high reliability. So it means the detector must be capable of continuous stable operation at the room temperature for so many years. So these are the characteristics of the photodetector. Next one is photodetectors types. There are two types of light photodetectors. They are pin photodiode and avalanche photodiode. These are the pin photodiode and avalanche photodiodes of the photodetectors. So next, the pin photodetector. So it means the device structure will consist of P and N semiconductor regions separated by a very lightly N-doped intrinsic region. So in normal operation, the reverse bias voltage is applied across the device so that no free electrons or holes exist in the intrinsic region. So when the photodiode is reverse bias, the intrinsic region of the diode is fully depleted of carriers. So here these photo carriers are generated in depleted intrinsic region where most of the incident light photons are absorbed. So the incident photon will have energy which is greater than or equal to the band gap energy of the semiconductor material, and it gives up its energy and excite and electrons from valence band to the conduction band. So next is the structure of the pin photodetector. So here the high electric field present in the depletion region will causes the photo generated carriers to separate and be collected across the reverse bias junction. So this will give rise to the current flow in an external circuit. So this current flow is known as the photocurrent. So one of the electron flow from every carrier pair will be generated. So here the pin photodetectors will have the two types. One is photocarriers and another is photocurrent. So photocarriers means incident photon generates the free electron hole pairs in the intrinsic region. So these charge carriers are known as photocarriers since they are generated by photons. So photocurrent, it means the electric field which will across the device causes the photocarriers to be swept out of the intrinsic region. So thereby giving the rise to the current flow in an external circuit. So this current flow is known as the photocurrent. So these are the explanations of the photocarriers and photocurrent. So next one is energy band diagram for pin photodiode. Here because of the large built-in electric field, the electrons as well as the holes generated inside the depletion region, and it will accelerate in opposite direction and drifts to the N and P sides respectively. So the resulting flow of current is proportional to incident optical power. Diffusion length. So as the charge carriers flows through the material, some of them will recombine and disappear. So the charge carriers move a distance Ln to Lp for the electrons and holes before recombining. So this distance is known as the diffusion length. The next one is carrier lifetime. So the time taken for the electron or hole to recombine is known as the carrier lifetime, and it is denoted by tau n or tau p respectively. So that is Ln is equal to dn tau n the whole power 1 by 2 and Lp is equal to dp tau p the whole power 1 by 2, where dn and dp are the diffusion coefficients for electrons and holes respectively. Optical power absorbed. So the optical power absorbed P of x in the depletion region can be written in terms of incident optical power, that is P naught. So P of x is equal to P in into 1 minus e power minus alpha s into lambda into x, that is absorption coefficient alpha s of lambda strongly depends on wavelength. So the upper wavelength cutoff for any semiconductors can be determined by its energy gap as follows. So that is lambda c into mu micrometer is equal to 1.24 divided by Eg into electron volts. So taking the entrance phase reflectivity into the consideration, the absorbed power in the width of the depletion region W will becomes 1 minus RF into PW, that is equal to P in into 1 minus e power minus alpha s lambda into W into 1 minus RF. So the cutoff wavelength is determined by band gap energy Eg of the material. So if Eg is expressed in electron volts, then lambda c is given in micrometers by lambda c micrometer is equal to Hc divided by Eg, that is equal to 1.24 divided by Eg into electron volts. So the typical value of lambda c for silicon is 1.06 micrometer and for germanium it is 1.6 micrometer. So the depletion region width. So if the depletion region has a width W, then the total power observed in the distance W is given as P of W is equal to P naught into 1 minus e power minus alpha s W. Thank you.